I don't know about you, but I've been through so much change in the past 2 to 3 years. Not just because of the pandemic, but also because there have been some drastic changes in my personal and professional life. This has come down to what's happened in my romantic life. This has come down to my career. This has come down to my money, my well-being, my health. There's been a whole shebang of stuff. And there have been times where I felt like I can't even deal with this change. But if there is one thing that is constant, if there is one thing that is undeniable, is that life is definitely about change. And so in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my experiences with change, but not only that, how you can manage change better, especially if you're going through crazy transitions. Now, I've been in a position where I've been in more than 30k, £1,000 in debt. I've been in a position where I've been able to turn that over and get to a stage within 2 years of being able to purchase my first property as well. Now, with all of that came a lot of trials and tribulations, but I want to really throw out a model to you that would be useful in terms of helping you understand how you can understand this. So for those of you who are familiar with change management, there's something known as the Lewin Model, okay? And within this model, it talks about three main stages. There is unfreeze, change, and freeze. So effectively with the unfreeze stage, this is where you realize that something needs to change. This is where you realize that actually the way things are going right now, it can't stay this way. So for example, I realized that I couldn't be in this debt anymore. I realized that I needed to be in a new space and a new environment. And therefore, I started to entertain these different thoughts and ideas of getting into a position where I could be stronger. But it really allowed my imagination and my heart's desire to get to a point of understanding that what I wanted was more than my current reality. I am more than my situation. And so I needed to surround myself with the right sorts of people. How did I do that? I spoke to my friends and family members who I trusted in order for them to really understand what it is that I needed to do and how they can support me, whether that's words of encouragement, referring me to different things, giving me advice, etc., etc. I also needed to make sure I had the knowledge and understanding. So I made sure I really went into reading and watching and listening and talking to different people, as I stated before. So the unfree stage is really about shifting the mindset, is really getting to a situation where you understand that actually, I can't stay this way no more. I need to shift. I need to go to a different space. Whatever I'm doing right now needs to be replaced because it's not serving me no more. And so with the unfree stage, there is a state of realization. There is a state of really recognizing that actually, whatever reality you're going through right now is not good enough. And there is so much more for you to achieve. The second stage is the change stage. So this is where you effectively put in things in order for you to actually change. This comes down to plans. This comes down to strategy. This comes down to embedding different structures such as accountability buddies or making sure that you actively do things differently in order for you to actually change. And this is the transition, okay? So in order for you to do this, you need to believe in what you were believing before, but also get to a stage of actually implementing stuff, okay? Really, really important stuff. And so all of this middle bit is crucial because if you believe that change is amongst you, if you believe that change is possible, then change will happen. Again, when I was paying off my loan over 12, 13, 14, 15 months, whatever it may be, I needed to truly believe that was possible. When I was saving for a property, I needed to believe that was truly possible, okay? You need to understand that you are the source, whether that's SAUCE or SOURCE. So understanding this is crucial for your progression because without it, you're not going to succeed. You have to believe. It starts with belief. It starts with understanding that potential. But I don't want to run away from the idea that I didn't feel fatigued. I didn't feel stressed. I didn't feel burnt out at times. I definitely felt those different things. And all I can say to you is that you have to understand that those emotions are serving you in order for you to understand that you're just feeling this way, okay? Maybe your body needs rest or maybe you need to change your strategy. Emotions are there to help you understand how to make decisions based on your values. If you choose to go based on your values, that's if your values are serving you. Sometimes your values don't serve you in that moment. And so those emotions get you to rethink and review and reflect on those different points in order for you to make the right sort of decision. And so for me, Going through, again, this property journey as well as another example, had been very stressful in many different ways. Something that should have taken 12 weeks took double the time. And so whether, things were right on my part or wrong on my part or whatever it may be, this is the situation that was presented in front of me. And so I needed to think beyond the current, because if you stay within one space, then you may get consumed by the toxicity that you may feed yourself. Life is life, and life throws these facts, whether it's right or wrong, good or bad for you in context of the person. However, you have to believe that there's more. If you don't believe there's more, there never will be more, okay? Horrible things happen to nice people. Nice things happen to horrible people, so to speak. It's all relative. And so with that in mind, I would say to you, do what you can to keep that vision in mind, whether that's speaking to people, listening to things, doing daily routines and practices to get into a state. At the end of the day, as far as you know, this is your life. So you can't think of anything else but to make sure that you own your life in such a way where you're living the best version of your life that there is. And you will know that. You'll feel that. You'll feel if it's not working out for you a certain way. Okay, act on it. The last stage is freeze. And freeze is effectively where you put things into place. You make sure things are consolidated. You make sure you don't go back to where you went to before. Okay, so they say freeze. Sometimes you can call it refreeze or whatever it may be. But you have to also acknowledge where you've got to. You have to also acknowledge your success, because if you don't get to a point where you don't acknowledge your success, then you're definitely going to be in a position where you may take things for granted. Okay, you really may take things for granted. So that is the Lewin model for you to understand, especially when it comes to change management. Now, there is also another model that I'd like to talk about, and that is the bridges model. I think about transitions, okay, from one place to another. So think about you're ending a space, okay, so what's ending in your mind? What are you closing the door on? Then you move into a state of transition where there may be anxiety, there may be a state of uncertainty, but things are changing. And then three, should I say, you're moving into a state of new beginnings where you start to embed these new practices or whatever it may be, or there's a sense of relief and you don't feel as uncertain anymore. You feel a greater sense of certainty as well. And so the bridges model is a great way to really understand the emotional roller coaster that you may go through as well. There's also the different levels of change as well. Another important one, because, they say sometimes we go through denial and realization is like, we don't want this to happen. And then you're like, actually, maybe this is happening. And then you get really angry that this is happening. In a situation where estate agents were messing me about, I was pissed off. I'm not going to lie to you. I was very frustrated. But these situations happen. And then you may even get to a stage of actually accepting things and letting things go. A big part of change is acceptance. It's acceptance that this is the situation that you're in and what you're going to do about it. You can cry and be a baby about it, so to speak. And I don't want to, belittle anyone's situation, or you could rise above it. And all I mean by that really is that accepting the situation for what it is, whether you like it or not, just accepting it, really realizing that actually, what can you actually do? And that's the question you need to ask yourself. Where is your locus of control? Where is your center point for you to say, actually, this is what I can change. This is what I can control. This is what I can influence. And this is what I can't influence or control or change. Therefore, I'm going to move into this space, because once you move into that space, you find solutions, you search for solutions, and then you get to a state of understanding and real change. Okay. That's part of the 7 stages of change. I said that really weird. 7 stages of change that you need to recognize when you're going through this emotional roller coaster. So this is all to say that there is going to be an ending, a transition, and a new beginning. There are going to be things that you need to unfreeze. There are going to be things that you need to refreeze. There are going to be situations where you may feel depression at the beginning or fear, okay? But really, when you get to that point of acceptance and letting go, then you can start finding solutions that enable you to find those things. But it takes time. I'm not saying this in such a way where, this will happen straight away. No, not necessarily. If not at all. But recognize what stage you're in. The final thing I'll say about this is that whenever we go through change, invariably we go through a state of learning. And there is this basic 7 points of learning, should I say, by a person called Pro Shaka, I believe. I may be saying that wrong, so apologies if I am. And essentially what this is saying is that in order for you to change, you need to make the decision that that's going to happen. That's at point 3 or 4. If there is no willingness for that to happen, change won't happen. I know that sounds, sort of like intuitive, but if we think about people who want to coach or people who want to mentor, whatever it may be, they're paying for the result, but they're not paying for the willingness and wantingness, if that's a word, to actually change. And so with that in mind, I'm saying to you, if you really want to position yourself for greatness, if you really want to position yourself to get into a space of overcoming, okay, even if you're tired, even if you're stressed, even if you're moaning, even if things don't feel like they're working out, you can still do it. Because these emotions are just forms of expression. They don't have to define you. It was Jim Rohn who once said, for things to change, you have to change. So I just want to hit home with that. And thank you to my friend who actually suggested this topic on change. And I think it's a really good topic to talk about because it gets us to realize how we react in different situations and spaces and what we can do to push forward to try and overcome some of these situations as well. If you want to watch more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And as always, my friends, understand, reach, and expand. Peace.